Hello, my friends. I hope you're doing great today. Let me ask you a question. How many things can one person be good at? One, two, maybe three? But what if I told you about a man who was a master of so many things that it's hard to count? He wasn't just a painter. He was also an engineer, a scientist, an architect, a sculptor, and so much more. He knew about maps, stars, plants, rocks, water, light, and even fossils. This man was so smart, so talented, that people will remember him even 1,000 years from now. His name? Leonardo da Vinci. Today, I'm going to tell you his story, a story that will inspire you and help you improve your English. Let's start with his early life. A long time ago, in the year 1452, a baby boy was born in a small village called Vinci in Italy. His name was Leonardo di Ser Piero da Vinci, which means Leonardo, the son of Piero from Vinci. Leonardo's father, Piero, was a wealthy man. His mother, Caterina, was a poor woman. Leonardo was born out of wedlock, which means his parents weren't married. Because of this, Leonardo didn't grow up in a rich family, but he had something much more valuable: a curious mind. As a child, Leonardo was always curious. He loved asking questions. He wanted to know how birds flew, why water flowed, and how the stars moved. While other kids were playing games, Leonardo spent his time watching nature. He studied the way leaves grew on trees, how shadows moved during the day, and how animals behaved. He didn't go to a fancy school. He didn't learn Latin, the language that smart people used at that time. But that didn't stop him. He taught himself by looking at the world around him. And guess what? He started drawing. His drawings were so detailed and so beautiful that people couldn't believe a child made them. When Leonardo turned 14, his father saw his amazing talent for drawing. So, he sent Leonardo to Florence, the most famous city for art and culture in Italy. In Florence, Leonardo became an apprentice to Andrea del Verrocchio, a great artist and sculptor. Here, Leonardo learned how to paint, sculpt, and create art that looked almost real. He also learned about machines, engineering, and even how the human body works. But Leonardo didn't just follow orders. He had ideas of his own. He was always trying new things, experimenting, and improving everything he learned. One day, Verrocchio asked Leonardo to help him with a painting called The Baptism of Christ. Leonardo painted an angel in the picture. When the painting was finished, everyone who saw it was amazed. The angel Leonardo painted looked so real, so beautiful, that people couldn't stop talking about it. In fact, it was so good that Verrocchio decided to stop painting forever, because he thought Leonardo was better than him. When Leonardo was still young, he started to show something very unusual. He could draw and write at the same time. But here's the catch, he wrote backward. His writing was like a mirror image, and you had to hold it up to a mirror to read it. Some people thought he did this because he wanted to keep his notes secret, while others believed it was just more comfortable for him since he was left-handed. Leonardo wasn't just drawing pretty pictures. He was creating art filled with details that most people didn't even notice in real life. He loved sketching things like plants, birds, and even machines that he imagined. He wanted to understand how everything worked. In 1473, something amazing happened. At just 21 years old, Leonardo created his first known artwork, a sketch called Arno Valley Landscape. This was not just a simple drawing. It was a detailed view of the Arno River and the surrounding countryside. You could see mountains, trees, and the gentle curves of the land. But what made this sketch so special was how realistic it looked. It was like seeing the world through Leonardo's eyes. So clear, so alive. Why is this sketch important? Because it showed how Leonardo was different from other artists. He didn't just draw what he saw, he added depth, movement, and feeling. Even a simple river became a masterpiece in his hands. Leonardo's mind was always working. He wrote down everything he thought about, from how birds fly to how the human body works. But as I told you earlier, he wrote in reverse. Imagine this. You're reading his notebook, and it's like a treasure chest of ideas. He sketched flying machines, bridges, and even designs for weapons. People today still wonder, how could one man think of all this? He also wrote about nature. For example, he would look at a tree and explain why its branches grow in a certain pattern. He studied water and drew sketches of how it moved when it hit rocks or flowed into a stream. Here's something you'll love. Leonardo didn't see a difference between art and science. To him, they were the same. When he painted a bird, he didn't just draw its feathers. He studied how its wings moved. He wanted to know why birds could stay in the air. He even wrote ideas for flying machines that looked like giant bird wings. One of his notes said, "Once you have tasted flight, you will forever walk the earth with your eyes turned skyward." Even though airplanes wouldn't be invented for hundreds of years, Leonardo was already dreaming about humans flying. Back in Florence, Leonardo continued working with Verrocchio. People started talking about him. They said, "This young man is not just an artist, he's a genius." Leonardo loved drawing faces. He had a special gift for showing emotions in his paintings. A smile wasn't just a smile. It could be happy, shy, or mysterious. People felt connected to his art because it seemed alive. He also loved experimenting. Sometimes he would mix his own paints or try new techniques. Leonardo wasn't just drawing and painting. He was also learning. He wanted to know everything about the world. For example, he studied anatomy by dissecting animals and even human bodies. He wanted to know how muscles and bones work together. He looked at the stars and tried to understand how they moved. He drew maps that were so accurate, people used them for years. Leonardo wasn't afraid to ask big questions. Why do plants grow the way they do? Why does water flow faster in some places? How do the human heart and lungs work? Around this time, Leonardo started making sketches for inventions that no one had ever seen before. He drew designs for 1. Flying machines. He imagined a device with wings like a bird that could carry a person into the air. 2. Bridges. He designed lightweight bridges that could be built quickly for armies to cross rivers. 3. Weapons. He even thought of ideas for war machines, like giant crossbows. Leonardo didn't just want to create things, he wanted to improve the world. By the time Leonardo reached his mid-20s, people in Florence knew his name. But this was just the beginning of his incredible journey. He was more than just an artist. He was a man who dreamed of the impossible. His ability to mix art, science, and engineering made him unique. He didn't just live in his time, he was far ahead of it. As Leonardo's fame grew, rich and powerful people started asking him for work. One of his biggest supporters was Lorenzo de' Medici, the ruler of Florence. Lorenzo sent Leonardo to Milan in 1482 to work for the Duke of Milan, Ludovico Sforza. Now, why did Ludovico want Leonardo? It wasn't just for paintings. He wanted Leonardo to design weapons, build fortresses, and create machines for his army. Leonardo wrote a letter to Ludovico, listing all the things he could do. He mentioned building bridges and war machines, creating cannons and weapons, designing new buildings. At the end of the letter, Leonardo casually added, "Oh, and I can paint too." This shows us how versatile Leonardo was. He didn't just see himself as an artist. He was a problem solver, an inventor, and a scientist. In Milan, one of Leonardo's most famous works came to life, The Last Supper. This painting is a masterpiece that still amazes people today. The painting shows Jesus and his 12 disciples at the moment when Jesus says, "One of you will betray me." Leonardo wanted to capture the emotions of each person in that moment. Look closely, and you'll see. Some disciples look shocked. Others look confused or angry. Judas, the one who betrays Jesus, is holding a small bag of money and looking away. Leonardo used a special technique to create depth and make the scene look three-dimensional, but he experimented with the paint, and unfortunately, it started to fade soon after it was finished. Even so, The Last Supper remains one of the most famous paintings in history. While in Milan, Leonardo didn't just paint, he kept exploring science, engineering, and anatomy. He believed that to create perfect art, you had to understand what was beneath the skin. This is why his paintings look so realistic. He knew how the body moved and how light and shadow fell on it. In 1503, Leonardo began working on his most famous painting, the Mona Lisa. This portrait shows a woman with a mysterious smile. People have been trying to figure out her expression for centuries. Is she happy? Sad? Thinking about something? Leonardo spent years perfecting the painting. He used a technique called sfumato, which made the edges of her face soft and blurred, giving her a lifelike appearance. What's amazing is that Leonardo carried this painting with him everywhere he went. It was very personal to him, almost like a part of his soul. Leonardo filled thousands of pages with sketches, ideas, and notes. He wrote about how the human eye works, the flow of water and air, machines that could lift heavy objects. He also wrote small thoughts like, "Learning never exhausts the mind. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication." His notebooks were like windows into his brilliant mind. Even today, people study them to understand how he thought. Leonardo didn't stay in one place for long. After Milan, he traveled back to Florence and worked on projects for kings, dukes, and even the Pope. He kept inventing and experimenting, but not everything he started was finished. Why? Because Leonardo's mind was always moving to the next big idea. He couldn't stop dreaming. In 1516, Leonardo moved to France. The King of France, Francis I, admired him so much that he invited Leonardo to live in a beautiful mansion near his palace. Leonardo spent his final years in France, teaching and sharing his ideas. The king called him the father of all arts and treated him with great respect. On May 2, 1519, Leonardo da Vinci passed away at the age of 67. He died with a notebook in his hand, still dreaming and sketching until the very end. Leonardo da Vinci wasn't just a painter or a scientist. He was a man who showed us that curiosity and hard work can lead to greatness. He taught us to never stop learning and to see the world with wonder. Even 500 years later, his art, ideas, and inventions continue to inspire millions. Leonardo da Vinci's genius extended beyond his paintings. His curiosity about the world, his scientific observations, and his unmatched creativity left a mark on history that remains unshaken. One of Leonardo's most remarkable works is Salvator Mundi, which means Savior of the World. This painting shows Jesus Christ holding a crystal orb in one hand, symbolizing the universe, while making a blessing gesture with the other hand. Why is it so special? Salvator Mundi isn't just a painting. It's a masterpiece of divine and human connection. Leonardo's skill in creating lifelike details is clear in Jesus' serene expression, flowing hair, and glowing eyes. The crystal orb is painted so realistically that it seems to capture and bend light. After Leonardo's death, Salvator Mundi disappeared for centuries. It was rediscovered in 2005, but some experts debated whether it was truly Leonardo's work. Eventually, after much research, most agreed it was authentic. In 2017, Salvator Mundi was sold for $450.3 million, making it the most expensive painting ever sold. This shows the immense value people place on Leonardo's genius. Did you know that one of Leonardo's handwritten notebooks, the Codex Leicester, was sold to Bill Gates in 1994 for a whopping $30,802,500? This notebook contains Leonardo's thoughts on science, especially about water and how it flows. He wrote about rivers, waves, and even how erosion shapes the land. The Codex Leicester isn't just a notebook. It's a window into Leonardo's brilliant mind. It shows how he observed the world and tried to understand its mysteries. Today, Bill Gates occasionally displays it in museums so that people can see and learn from it. Leonardo was ahead of his time in many ways, including his compassion for animals. He believed animals had feelings and intelligence just like humans. Leonardo often refused to eat meat because he didn't want to harm animals. He once wrote, "The time will come when people will look on the murder of animals as they now look on the murder of men." Leonardo hated seeing birds in cages. Whenever he passed a market where birds were sold, he would buy them and set them free. This shows his deep respect for all living things. Leonardo da Vinci wasn't just an artist. He was a scientist who loved to ask questions about the natural world. One of his questions was, why is the sky blue? Leonardo discovered that the sky appears blue because of how sunlight scatters through the air. He wrote about how tiny particles in the atmosphere spread the blue light more than other colors, making the sky look blue to our eyes. Remember, this was centuries before modern science explained the same thing. Leonardo's observations were incredibly advanced for his time. Leonardo was fascinated by the human eye. He called it the window to the soul. Leonardo studied how the lens in the eye bends light to create images. He made detailed sketches of the eye and described how it works, paving the way for future discoveries in optics. For Leonardo, understanding light wasn't just about science. It was about making his art better. By studying light and shadow, he learned how to make his paintings look incredibly real. Even though Leonardo was a genius, he also had a playful side. He loved jokes and riddles. In his notebooks, you'll find funny sketches, like a man with a huge nose or a silly invention that served no real purpose. For Leonardo, laughter was another way to explore life. He believed in balancing hard work with moments of joy and curiosity. Leonardo da Vinci wasn't just a man, he was a phenomenon. Even after centuries, his name shines as brightly as ever. He achieved so much in his lifetime that it feels almost unbelievable. But what made him extraordinary wasn't just his talent. It was his curiosity, his passion for learning, and his determination to leave the world a better place. In this final chapter, let's dive into how Leonardo da Vinci's legacy continues to inspire us and what lessons we can learn from his incredible journey. As Leonardo lay on his deathbed on May 2nd, 1519, surrounded by those who admired and respected him, he is said to have spoken his last words. "I have offended God and mankind because my work did not reach the quality it should have." These words show Leonardo's humility. Even after achieving so much, he believed there was more he could have done. This teaches us that true greatness comes with a sense of responsibility and a constant desire to improve. After his death, Leonardo's works, ideas, and notebooks spread across the world. His inventions inspired future scientists and engineers. His art became the gold standard for beauty and realism. His notebooks revealed a mind that was centuries ahead of its time. Many of Leonardo's inventions, such as flying machines, hydraulic pumps, and even designs for robots, inspired future advancements. He imagined things that would only be invented hundreds of years later. His paintings like the Mona Lisa, The Last Supper, and Salvator Mundi are not just artworks. They are masterpieces that capture human emotion and divine beauty. They continue to attract millions of people to museums and exhibitions. Leonardo taught us to observe the world closely. He believed that nature was the ultimate teacher. His studies of water, light, plants, and the human body revealed truths that modern science later confirmed. Leonardo da Vinci had a unique way of thinking that made him stand out. 1. Endless curiosity. Leonardo asked questions about everything. Why do birds fly? How does the heart pump blood? What makes the sky blue? This curiosity drove him to learn and discover. 2. Passion for learning. Leonardo never stopped learning. Even when he became famous, he continued to read, study, and experiment. 3. Belief in hard work. He didn't rely only on talent. He worked hard to improve his skills, whether it was painting, engineering, or studying anatomy. 4. A love for sharing knowledge. Leonardo shared his discoveries through his notebooks, which he hoped would help future generations. Leonardo da Vinci's life offers valuable lessons for anyone who wants to achieve greatness. Be curious. Never stop asking questions. Curiosity is the first step toward discovery. Learn new things. Don't limit yourself to one subject. Explore different areas of knowledge. Who knows? You might find a hidden talent. Work hard. Talent is important, but hard work is what turns dreams into reality. Don't fear failure. Leonardo's inventions didn't always work, but he never gave up. He saw failure as a step toward success. Stay humble. Even though he was a genius, Leonardo remained humble. He believed there was always more to learn. His grave became a place of pilgrimage for those who wanted to honor his genius. In science, scientists still study his notebooks to understand his ideas. His sketches of flying machines inspired the development of airplanes. In art, his techniques in painting, like sfumato and realistic proportions, are still taught in art schools worldwide. Leonardo's belief in endless learning and curiosity reminds us that we can always grow, no matter where we start. Imagine this: Leonardo da Vinci, a boy born in a small village without formal education, grew up to become one of the greatest minds in history. He wasn't born a genius. He became one by working hard, staying curious, and never giving up. Today, his story reminds us that greatness isn't reserved for a few. It's something anyone can achieve if they dare to dream big, work hard, and stay passionate. So, to all of you listening, remember, the sky isn't the limit, your mind is. Don't be afraid to try new things or fail along the way. Keep learning, stay humble, and never stop believing in your potential. This is the story of Leonardo da Vinci, the man who saw the world not as it was, but as it could be. Let his life inspire you to chase your dreams and make your mark on the world. Dream big, act now. Like, share, and subscribe to keep the energy alive and move forward together.